Howdy, y'all. It's Cody from the Keepers of Nerdom. How you doing? So we should not talk about Jurassic Park, the Lost World Jurassic Park, episode 2 of the Jurassic Park series. Watched it with my daughters, and I'm planning soon to watch the third one with them. And I'm excited to at least watch the third one with them because the second one started and we were all enjoying it, and then noticed, my youngest was getting distracted and didn't care. And there hit a point where my daughter finally went, "How much longer is this?" And we were thinking it too. And it really just hits the reality of what's wrong with that film. The biggest issue is it's two movies wrapped into one, and it doesn't have a very clear direction. It just feels very slow, and it's like moments of action for the sake of action's sake, not for the sake of story. And instead, because of that, it just plods along, and it's like two movies that are strapped together. And then ironically, some of the newer films, the Jurassic World films, learned these lessons and learned them to repeat them, not to learn from them and to stay away from them. So yeah, weird stuff. Let's go through just a quick synopsis of the plot. Obviously spoilers for a movie that's from the 90s, 97, I believe. So what we have is Ian Malcolm is back as your main character. The starting scene of the movie, though, is a rich family on this other island, and the little girl discovers little itty-bitty dinosaurs, and she starts screaming, and all the people come running, and they don't turn back to her, but the mom starts screaming, like implying that she's gone or something. And I don't know if it ever talks about them again. Anyway, it's just kind of weird. So we got that. That was an interesting, just kind of start to the scene of like, there's actually a whole nother island. And then we see Ian Malcolm get a mission to try to go back to this new island that was actually like their test bed area that they would raise the dinosaurs. So it makes a little bit less sense when John Hammond says, "I want to be here every time that all of the dinosaurs are born." You can just tell like this is added on, and they didn't add it on well, because there's no way he could have been born with that many dinosaurs, like been present for everything that was born with that many dinosaurs, unless he literally just sat on that island constantly. You know what I'm saying? Just a funny little piece of the issue. So, because John Hammond has lost his leadership of the company, and it's his nephew, I think, that's taking over on InGen. And John Hammond wants to send in a team to just take pictures and keep it as a preservation site for these dinosaurs that somehow have now survived and lived, even though they were supposed to die within like a week of not having their special food source fed to them by the park owners. And somehow they just keep going. So it's kind of interesting. And he has a team of 4 picked out, and one of them's already on the island separate from everybody else, which doesn't make any sense at all. And it really is just story-wise to get Ian Malcolm, because he refuses to go there because it's actually his girlfriend that's a paleontologist. And it really doesn't make sense. Like, you have a 4-man team, but you already sent one of them out on their own? That doesn't make any sense at all, especially with what this is. Like, that's ridiculous. Purely ridiculous. You would not do that, and that's so stupid. So it just, there's logic issues in this film. And so they go in, and everything turns bad when they're taking pictures and everything, and actually a whole nother group shows up that's an actual hunting party that the nephew has put together to capture and bring back for a park idea. Like, basically think like a circus. Okay. Well, it's an interesting thought process, and it's cool because they actually have their own like Dr. Grant, and he's kind of funny. And it's just very interesting because they aren't as careful because they don't know or understand the risks in a way. They have their own like park director guy that's the big hunter from the first film. They kind of have that guy as well in this in a way. And it's just really interesting concept stuff. But there's a baby T-Rex that I can't remember if they break its leg or not, but the 4-man crew that's just trying to take pictures and stuff rescues this baby T-Rex to try to repair it, and they're so stupid, and once Ian finds out what they're doing, because he wasn't present with them at the time, he gets really upset. So Vince Vaughn's in this movie, and he's this photographer that's like a Peace Corps activist stuff, and it's funny because he the very reason that Ian was going was to be a rescue mission, and because he went and brought that guy with him, it actually caused it to be so much worse. And actually, the main like old doctor that runs the hospital for a lot of the show in The Good Doctor is in the movie as well, with the 4-man crew. But everything goes bad because the Peace Corps guy makes the dinosaurs, gets them loose in the hunting groups area. They lose all of their equipment, and the 4-man crew gets attacked by 2 T-Rexes, like mom and dad kind of thing, and it's really bad. It's actually a really intense scene, and it's fascinating and good and interesting, and one of their team dies, and it's a rough day. But man, I stopped even watching real close whenever the infamous terrible scene, because Ian Malcolm's daughter sneaks onto the island with them, and which is just hilarious that somehow she was able to like sneak in, because that would have been like potentially day plus or more trip of carrying that vehicle and stuff. But anyway, just it's kind of weird to think about how that would work. The infamous scene where she uses her acrobatic stuff to gymnastics things to kick a, and it looks really poor, but to kick a velociraptor while she's like swinging on a, oh gosh, I can't, gymnastic bar, basically. It's so silly. I stopped paying attention really closely at that point because I was just bored. But it's a rough film, because basically they finally get home because they finally get help called, and they go get a T-Rex and the baby, and they take it with them, the hunting crew, what's left, and the T-Rex gets out at the end of the film and just goes through the city that they're in until they can get it back on the boat and send it back to the island. Ridiculous, just pure ridiculous. And it's the scenes in the city are fun. Like it's entertaining having a T-Rex running around in streets, right? And they totally like copied a lot of that stuff in some of the newer films. But just an interesting mess, because Ian Malcolm as a character is interesting in the first film, and he makes for good storyline because he's bouncing off the other people. But as one of your main protagonists that really is focused on, and even in the first film, he is a main protagonist in a way, but yet he's injured halfway through the film, and so he kind of becomes just, I'm going to sit here with Hammond and talk. He is not a good like focal point of the film, because he doesn't care about the dinosaurs in that same way. He's just kind of like, nah. And obviously, yeah, he's there to rescue his girlfriend, but it's forced. And the film, when it moves to the United States, it just feels really like, okay, we need a different film here. This is too long. And they just kept going. I mean, it just feels like you have an extra 30, 40 minutes of too much, and it's just boring. So yeah, The Lost World Jurassic Park, not a good film comparatively to the first one at all. It drags compared, and doesn't have as interesting of characters in the same way. Still has the dinosaurs. They're pretty cool, but they do just feel like they're there more for just bad writing, just to conceal it in a way, it feels like. And I don't know how else to explain that. And it's funny when the third one does a better job of getting you back to the islands in any way, justification wise. That's what's sad. So I'll be back with more videos about this film series as we slowly watch through them. And thank you so much for hanging out, and like, share, and subscribe. Take care, y'all. Bye.